Hello and welcome back to the Royal Trap. I find Oscar a little ways along, seated by the stream. Despite what he said earlier, he doesn't seem to be assembling a bed, just staring into the rippling surface of the water. Hi. Hi. Mindful of the damp, I take my time choosing a seat beside him. You did well with Callum. You put him at ease, you got him to open up to you, at least a little. Without your help, I wouldn't have any information at all. I do listen to you, you know, in all those lessons. Just because I don't want to spend my life manipulating people doesn't mean I can't do it. I never said you couldn't do it. No, but you were surprised, weren't you? You think I'm a child. It's more fun sometimes to act like one. I don't think you're a child. No? What is it? His eyes fall upon the amber stone which hangs around my neck. Why do you always turn me away? You said we weren't going to do this. That was then. That was before I had to listen to someone trying to kill you while I was helpless. I know he wasn't. That doesn't change how it made me feel. How it felt to watch him force you into his hands, to stay behind while he took you away, to see you draped over him. It was nothing. Shush. I'm telling you how I felt. I thought I could be a grown-up and let you go without a fight, but I was wrong. We need to talk. My heart's hammering in my chest. We can't do this. I'm going to go with the honest option. He's like a brother to me. But after everything, doesn't he deserve to know the truth? It'll be hard, but at least it'll be over. Oscar, it's not because you're younger than me. We're not that far apart, I know that. Closer to me than my own family. That's the problem. You're family to me. You're my best friend, but I can't be anything more than a friend to you. I can't see you like that. Oh. I've been trying to discourage you because I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I want you to be happy. I want you to fall in love and marry someone who's a great match for you. And if I'm lucky, maybe I'll get to see your children someday and be Aunt Maddie to them. I don't want to lose you, but I can't be with you, not in that way. So I guess that's that. I'm sorry. For what? For being yourself? For telling me the truth? For causing you pain? You can't stop me from ever being hurt. I can try. Isn't that my job? Maybe I don't need you in that job anymore. If that's what you want. So it's true. He does intend to marry Cassidy and leave me behind. I knew this was coming, and I have to be strong. I stand up and brush myself off. Your idea about the leaves was a good one. I better find my own bed. Good night. Night. Well, it's done. He's free and I go on. Chapter 3. The Revelation. The hours of night are spent sleeping fitfully among the sticks and stones. Years have passed since I last attempted to camp under the open stars. I'm not accustomed to it. Every noise startles me to alertness, the hum of insects, the croak of frogs, and the restless slumber of my companions, the too early cries of birds. Each time I must still my heart and slip back into the darkness. I do need my sleep. When the sky begins to lighten, we arise. Oscar scavenging turns up birds' eggs and wild asparagus, foods that can be cooked quickly even without utensils. Neither Oscar nor I make any reference to our conversation the night before. This morning, we are strictly business. Once bellies have been filled and bladders discreetly lightened, task considerably easier for my companions than myself, we are ready to seek the rendezvous point. Callum leads us to a country road, his particular destination marked by a crudely carved milestone half buried in the verge. This is the place. Get yourselves out of sight. We could have hours yet to wait. Find a spot where you could be hidden and silent for as long as is necessary. His gaze falls on Oscar. And if you can't do that, then get back to the river and stay there where you won't make a mess of things. I can do it. You had better be right. Remember, the most important thing is that Cass is safe. Don't take any action that could endanger her. But once the way's cleared, don't let those bastards get away. We understand. Oscar and I secrete ourselves out into the brush. Hiding amongst such thick cover is simple enough. Making a nest for yourself with the smallest movement will not rustle loudly and give you away. It's more complicated. Even the most patient soul must shift position occasionally. It's not good for the body to do otherwise. Callum's role in this is easier. He takes up a visible position along the road, pulls out a knife and a bit of wood, and begins whittling at it. For myself, there's nothing to do but wait and to think. Oh, Oscar, I am sorry that I had to hurt you. I hope this will prove to be the best path for both of us. You've been my friend since we were little more than children, but it was always meant to be a temporary situation. Both of us must learn to look past the comfortable and familiar in order to become what we're meant to be. It'll be easier once Cassidy is safe. I'm sure she and Oscar will be happy together. After a long and uncomfortable wait, I hear the sound of footsteps on the road. Callum hears it too, but he holds his position and waits for the newcomer to approach him. Waits, that is, for the newcomer to come close enough that Oscar and I may see without giving ourselves away. Who is it? Almost close enough. A single person in a palace uniform. Dolores? The page stops a small distance from Callum, close enough to talk, far enough that he can't make a grab for her. She folds her arms insolently and waits. Do you have a message for me? Oui, maybe I do. Here's the message. Give me the gold. Dolores is working with the kidnappers? How can that be? She helped me, didn't she? The deal was a trade. The gold for the princess. No princess, no gold. Do you think I'm stupid, Lord Fancy Boy? Once you've got your princess back, what guarantee have I got that you won't go after me? Since that was exactly the plan, she has a point. You want her back? You play by my rules? And if I gave you the gold, what guarantee do I have that Cassidy is unharmed, or that you even have her? I'll take you to her. You throw me the gold, I'll guide you to where I left her, one step at a time. I'll keep you at distance. You try to rough me up and I'll lead you in circles till she starves. Half now, half when I see the princess. Oh, don't worry, Fancy Boy, I don't want her on my hands. I've had enough of looking after lords and ladies, I have. Half now, no more. Oh, fine, throw it over. A sack of coins lands with a heavy clattering at her feet. She opens it to check the contents, and apparently satisfied smiles. Go on with you then, that away, keep moving and I'll tell you when to turn. Together they move into the woods. This is not good. The only thing to do now is try and follow them without making too much noise, hoping to be ready to spring on Dolores when she's delivered her promise. I look around for Oscar to be sure he understands what must be done, find him making wild, wide-eyed faces at me. There's no time, we can't risk being overheard, we must rely on gesture. Points at his foot, waves his hands in a negative fashion, shrugs, indicates that I should go on without him. I'm not sure what the problem is. Maybe he's caught somehow, or he's neglected to shift position earlier and now his feet are too numb to stand and move quietly. Whatever the cause, he's out of commission. I'll have to tail Dolores on my own. I creep through the brush, trying to keep both pale heads in sight while avoiding dry twigs and other giveaways. Callum is in the lead, moving slowly in Dolores' direction, pausing frequently to look back at him. She, in turn, always waits for him to move before she'll take a step to follow him, never allowing that distance between them to close. Her caution means that, not for my presence, she would have a fair chance at escape if she chose to run for it. It would depend on how quickly Callum could react. Would that be enough for her? She seems a cunning sort, and well, I don't say that solely because she misled me earlier, no. Fleeing from Callum would have been easier if he were temporarily distracted or injured. Could she be leading him into a trap? Before I can spin worse imaginings, she stops. May as well come out, Miss Nosy. What? I know you're out there, Oswindar girl. I saw you with himself last night playing Broken Bird. Trixie. Now, I can wait here all day, but your delicate lady's all alone and helpless like. So get over here. I hesitate, trying to decide whether she's certain of my presence or maybe suspecting it. Come out, Valois. So much for that, then. I raise my hands and move noisily into view. Planning to turn on me, weren't you? A caution, you would have done the same. I maybe did. Who's to know? I don't think she could have managed to hide her own allies in the same thicket we were hiding in earlier. Now that she's calling the shots, she might indeed be leading us into them. Get over there, next to him. Since Callum apparently wants me to play along, I obey her instructions and walk past her to stand beside him. The traitorous servant then produces a silk scarf, which he hurls in our direction. Tie yourselves together. Is this some sort of joke? The other one's playing justice tricks, Fancy Boy, you should have come alone. Always wondered why you weren't dismissed from service. You make a terrible page. Well then, good that it's settled. Now, do as I say. Arm or leg, I don't care. Callum picks up the scarf and extends his left hand to me. I'm not quite sure what he has in mind, but I place my right hand on his. He winds the scarf over and around and through our shared clasp, creating something that looks like a knot, but isn't actually. We're not tied, only tangled, and it will not take long to free ourselves again. Dolores can't quite tell what he's done unless she comes closer to examine it, of course, and and she seemed disinclined to take such a step. Despite his brief show of resistance, Callum seems quite calm about the setbacks. Rogue Page is put in our path. Of course, he still thinks we have Oscar in reserve. Can't tell him that my prince has been left behind. We resume our course through the woods, step by step. For good or for ill, Dolores' voice is our guide. And then at last we see it. A splash of pink across the forest floor. Cass! Instinctively he starts to move towards his fallen sister. But his motion tugs at our joined hands. And that moment of distraction is what Dolores has been waiting for. Abandoning us in the remaining half of our ransom goal, she turns to flee. Go! We rush after her as best we can. It is not so easy as one might think to run in a forest, particularly while entangled with another. We could of course pause for a moment to remove the silk wrapping, but that would require us to pause. Instead, Callum crushes my fingers in his grip as we attempt to synchronize pursuit. She is one and we are two, and in this terrain that gives her an advantage. She's going to get away. We're losing. And then quite unexpectedly I hear a shout. It's Oscar. Somehow or other he must have gotten himself loose from his predicament and tried to catch up with us, only to find himself directly at Dolores' escape path. He's not bigger or faster than she is, but he is there. She can't swerve away in time. In one desperate leap he tackles her to the ground. That doesn't bring an end to it. Wrestling is not a sport that ever held Oscar's interest. With an angry woman in his grasp, a woman with no qualms about using her knees and teeth, he's completely ineffectual. A few painful, for him anyway, moments later she's struggled free. By that point it's too late. Callum has a hand in her hair and an arm around her neck. This is the only payment you'll receive. Her eyes bulge as the pressure around her neck increases. Stop! Don't kill her! I told you I wouldn't murder for you. We caught her, that's enough. The traitor deserves death. So tie her up and bring her back to Central. Looks like you haven't told them. Her eyes roll back to her head and she sags at Callum's grip. No! She's only unconscious. Takes a deep breath and lets it out. So be it. Tie her up if that's what you want. We have to get back to Cass. Between us, Oscar and I handle Dolores' limp body, binding her with the discarded silk scarf. She's not a very substantial woman, more wiry than bulky, and easy enough for the two of us to carry. So Dolores was the mastermind all along? Could she really have overpowered Oscar and spirited off Cassidy all by herself? I saw them struggling here in the forest. I can imagine she'd get the better of him eventually in the brawl, but sailing too quickly to cry out, and dragging the princess away, keeping her hidden, leading near to merry dance, spying on Callum, setting up a ransom exchange? That's a lot to manage for a rough-spoken girl who's never progressed past the rank of page. There must be something more to her story than I'm seeing. Who sponsored her to royal service? Why hasn't she been either advanced or dismissed? She's someone's agent, I'm certain of that, but whose? And what is their part in this? But Callum insisted that she was working alone, motivated by gold, not politics. The last thing Dolores said was that Callum hadn't told us the whole story. Could she be his agent and turned on him? That might explain why he was so angry for being a traitor. Except he said he didn't know why she'd been dismissed either. I may have some questions for that woman when she wakes up, but in the meantime, we have a princess to rescue. We return to where we first spotted that telltale glimpse of pink fabric in the forest. There Cassidy lies, quiet and moving at the base of a tree. Not a fairy tale girl in the glass coffin. This princess's hair and clothes have been snagged by leaf and twig, and her shoes are gone, her stockings horribly stained, and she's tied and blindfolded with more of those silk scarves. Is she alright? Do you have any Hearthstone spirits? There's a faint moaning noise and Cassidy's head shifts. She's awake! Get her untied and sitting up, carefully. Callum hangs back, while Oscar and I help Cassidy to her feet and remove the blindfold. What? Ah! It's alright, you're safe now. We've captured the woman who kidnapped you. Safe, but... She ducks behind Oscar and raises a trembling hand. He's the one that kidnapped me! She's pointing at Callum. You stole Princess Cassidy? No, not exactly. That is not Princess Cassidy. What are you saying? I would like you to introduce you to my brother, Prince Caspian. Beg pardon? Oscar takes a step backward, sheltering Cassidy, or is it Caspian behind him? You are mad! It was you who attacked us in the garden. Is Callum our enemy, or is he telling the truth? Okay. Well, I did comment earlier that in anime, everybody looks vaguely effeminate, so... Go on then, let's let him explain. Let's not get too excited here. We're all supposed to be friends. Callum, do you want to explain what in the world you're talking about? You would think, with all the years I've spent planning for this moment, I'll have a better idea of what to say. This isn't how I meant it to turn out. Your prince is right, I did attack him in the garden, but only him. I would never have hurt Cass, I just wanted to talk to him alone. If you wanted to talk to Oscar alone, then why did you make me go with you? You really don't remember anything, do you? Wait, hold on, I'm trying to understand. So Callum, you're saying that is your brother Caspian? Yes. I am not. And you took him from the dance last night because you wanted to talk to her? Yes. Then how did Dolores get involved in this? I left Cass in my rooms alone while I waited for the fuss to die down. That thieving page must have somehow found him there and decided to grasp the advantage. I should never have left you alone. You're sorry that someone else kidnapped the princess after you'd properly kidnapped her first. Oh, you may have found some crumb of courage, but you're still a fool. I was willing to risk anything for my goal, except Cass's safety. What goal? Saving my little brother, who was stolen from me all those years ago. I'm very sorry, but you're delusional. I'm not Caspian. Prince Caspian died when I was a baby. That's what everybody believes. Doesn't mean it's true. I assume there's some story behind this. Why are you listening to anything he says? He lied to us, he attacked us, and he forced you. I'm listening to him because I understand what's going on. Wisdom before judgment. Whose wisdom do you think you are? What? No, she's right. We should talk about this calmly. Once we all understand what we're thinking and feeling, we can come to a solution that benefits everyone. If you please, I'd like to sit down. Of course, you should rest. He gallantly sweeps a patch of grass free of twigs and beetles. Not very kind. Once they've settled themselves, Callum begins his tale. Cass was my little brother, and the closest person to me in the world. All of our other siblings were much older, men in the making. In the meanwhile, our royal parents seemed to have little interest in their youngest offspring. I don't know why it was, but at the time it never occurred to me to question. My life was the nursery, my toys, my minders, my baby brother who trusted me in everything. Then they came and took Cass away. They said he was ill, that he was coming down with the plague and had to be quarantined with special nurses. I never saw him again. It was half a year later that they told me he was dead. But if he was ill and we were always together, why was I fine? If he had to be confined, why not me? That's it? That's your reason for believing that Casti is Caspian? Of course not. At the time, that was my reason for believing that life was so unfair and always would be. I wasn't interested in my new little sister. I didn't want a replacement for Cass, so I didn't think about the princess. But that baby girl grew older. Still, she never came to the nursery. Years, and I never saw her once. Sometimes I wondered if I were the one who was the plague, if I had to be kept away from my siblings. And when I was old enough that my parents were forced to give me my own rooms and full-time tutors, once you were gone, they took the nursery for the princess. I suppose. I didn't have much care, I was used to it by then. Being shoved aside, out of the way, ignored. It wasn't until a public event when Cassidy was about 5 years old that I finally laid eyes on the princess. And it was Caspian. Older. Too old for 5 years, and wearing a dress. I knew his face. She's your sister. It's not that strange that she might look a lot like Caspian. Not similar in some way. The same face. Look at me. Do I have the same face Cass does? Oh, no. No one else saw it. No one else knew him like I did. I didn't even question why I was there. All I knew was that my brother was alive. I ran up to him, calling his name. That was when my father hit me. I remember that. That boy was you? They told me he was a thief who snuck in and he might have carried the pox, and that was why they beat him. Yes, you would remember the beating. Your father beat you? No, he had the guards take me away and teach me a lesson. Only once. That I was wrong and a fool and a disgrace and that I was to never go near Cassidy again. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. You have no need to be sorry. You didn't cause it. You wanted to see your brothers, remember? He turned back to Callum. Your parents treated you unfairly, that's clear, but it proves nothing. You made wild accusations in public and they did not want the scandal. Considering what it's led to now, it seems they were correct that you would bring them grief. Caspian and Casti are different people. Casti was born before Caspian died, it's public record. Yes, and for so long I couldn't understand it. I almost started to believe that I was wrong. But then it all became clear. Caspian and I were nothing to them. The infant Casti was the heir my parents had been longing for. I think that baby died. My wise mother could bear no more children. There could be no further princess. And so I believe they chose to switch Cassidy for Caspian and raise him as the heir of Gwilendor. They've done it so well that even he doesn't remember who he really is. I'm not even gonna bring up the biology. Cass, they kept you isolated so no one would break the illusion so that I couldn't tell you the truth. Everything I've done was to get you out of their clutches so you could be free. They stole your life and I'm here to give it back. But there's one obvious problem with this whole story. Thank you, she's gonna bring it up. Caspian was a boy, Cassidy is a girl. You are, aren't you? Of course I am. Well, you can't simply put a dress on a boy and call him a girl, it won't work. Bind a living thing tightly enough, and its growth can be stunted. He looks at his sister and his voice takes on a hesitant tone. This is gonna get awkward. I'm gonna take a very large drink. Kinda wish it was booze. Curse being British. They've kept you so isolated. I have to ask, do you know what the difference is between a man and a woman? Men explore and conquer, women nurture and defend. Not what I meant. What I think he's trying to say is that men's bodies are different from women's bodies. Yes, that's why women wear gowns. That's true, but it's more a question of what's under the gown. Have you ever seen men and women unclothed? What? Oh, you can't ask a lady a question like that. She can, being a lady herself. Well, of course I haven't, it wouldn't be proper. In paintings, statues perhaps, books or engravings. I would never look at such things. Lord Vincilia discusses the myriad ways. It's very famous. Convenient, isn't it, with the sheltering their princess so profoundly. There's nothing unusual about a princess being modest. Yes, but so much so that she can't even grasp the point of what we're asking. What point? Oh, for soil's sake. Return to discover that Dolores is apparently no longer unconscious, still bound to twist herself part upright to speak. Subtle. They're trying to find out if you've got a tail in front. What? How long have you been listening? Long enough, Lady Lackey. Oh, I should have shut your mouth permanently. Oh, and then who do you have to take the tasks your noble hands are too pure to carry? Not only have you had the eggs, I'll lift up her skirts and see if she's got them. What? No, no one is lifting any skirts. If that page just tried to put her hands in a mice cage, she would pull back a bleeding stump. It isn't necessary, there are other signs. I am, after all, supposed to be trained to observe. I set my preconceptions aside and examined Cassidy closely. She has a slim figure, a narrow waist, a bosom, well, modestly endowed, has a feminine shape to it. But how much could be achieved by a slender dandy in a corset? But other features are far more difficult to alter. Look at her hands. She has long and graceful arms with small hands. Men's hands are larger in relation. Her chin is smooth and soft, has no hair. Her throat lacks the male bulge, and her voice... That is your natural voice, is it? You're not forcing yourself to speak in a high tone. No. Sorry. I'm chuckling at my own sort of, high-pitched girly voice, which is the... Anyway. You didn't have your voice changed mysteriously a few years ago? No. Well, there you have it then. She's a woman. I did tell you that. But you're Caspian, you have to be. Don't you remember me at all? The nursery, you and I. You used to stand on the window seat and point at things outside to make them tell you about them. You liked to watch me fire a catapult or spin a top because you couldn't make it go as fast. Your favourite toy was a stuffed cloth purple dragon. You used to sleep with it. My favourite toy was a little blue bear that I carried around with me everywhere. I don't remember ever seeing a toy catapult, and I didn't enjoy spinning tops. Mostly I liked dressing up my dolls and having them act out stories. She walks closer and lays a hand on Callum's arm. I'm sorry, but the truth is, Caspian is gone. I'm sorry. He sounds like he was a sweet little boy, and I wish I'd known him. I wish I'd known any of you. I was always so lonely growing up. So you're really Cassidy? I really am. I can see the expression on Callum's face as he admits to himself, perhaps for the first time, that his baby brother is dead. And everything was all for nothing. No. To his evident surprise, she wraps her arms around him, nestling her chin on his shoulder. It meant we got to be together. talk to each other at last. Otherwise we'd still be strangers. Hug me back. Nobody ever hugs me. Slowly, cautiously, Callum put his arms around his sister. I don't know why our parents treated you so badly, why they kept us apart, but it was wrong. But I'm an adult now. They can't lock me away. We can start over. She steps away from him, still smiling. What you did because you loved your brother. That's not wrong. Yeah, really sweet. Now, since we're all loving and forgiven, how about you let me go? You are going back to the castle to face trial. I ought to get rid of her right now to save trouble. Because I can tell everyone that it was you who attacked Lady Fainton Blossom. Sure, you could kill me so I couldn't talk, but then you'd have to kill Mr. Nosy and Prince Simple too, huh? What? Was that your plan? Of course not. My brother wouldn't do such a terrible thing. He's certainly loyal to Gibbon, considers that she's more or less just met him, and he kidnapped her. I don't think he wanted to kill us. I suspect he would have if it was necessary, but I don't think he wanted to do it. Of course he wasn't planning to kill us. It wouldn't make any sense. He's outnumbered. With 2 on 1, it would be too likely for one of us to defeat him or escape. If Callum wanted to cover his tracks that way, the smart thing to do would be leave Oscar in the castle. Then he could kill Dolores, kill me, hide the bodies, and Oscar and Cassidy would never know what happened. Of course, realising that everyone is staring at me. What? Sometimes your mind works in strange ways. I find her logic refreshing. What were you planning to do with us then? Cassidy and Caspian really were everything, and everything went as you had planned. None of this is what I planned ever since that creature put a stick in the wheel. What wheel? It's an expression! Oh, forgive me, my lord. My ears of letters must have slipped my mind again. There is another question. What would you have done with Caspian if she had been him? Done? Whatever he wanted. I wanted to tell him about everything he'd missed growing up, help him find his own life again. Help him get out of the palace or prepare him to confront our parents if he wanted. Doesn't matter now. No, it doesn't. We'll go home. We'll talk to Mother and Father. This time they can't brush you aside. I won't let them. I'll make them explain what they've done. So you see, it'll be alright. Only, could I have some water? Something to eat? Of course. You didn't feed her? What was I supposed to feed her? I didn't bring your royal kitchen. What did you eat? She laughs at me. I wasn't hungry. I was going to be rich if I would light on my feet. If I made it, I could eat anything I wanted, and if I didn't, well then it wouldn't really matter, would it? No, it wouldn't. Oscar, in the meantime, is still looking at Cassidy. What happened to your shoes? I think they're still in the palace. If she went through those tunnels without shoes, we need to wash her feet before any scratches turn foul. I don't mean to be trouble. You aren't. Let's get back to the water. There's nothing more to do here. We have, after all, succeeded in our quest. The princess is saved, and we are heroes. All is well. Chapter 4, The Betrayal. So things are about to go really, really bad, aren't they? Either way, that to me seems like an excellent point to end this video. So I will say thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next